having a theme. Okay, for the sake of the recording, let me begin from the top. Welcome to the L&D Africa webinar series, and our continuing theme is sustainable leadership development, and we are delighted to have you. My name is Anthony Wachira. I am from Kenya. I am dialing in from Nairobi. I am one of you. I am a part of L&D Africa. I am a coach. I am a training facilitator. I am a speaker. I am delighted to be leading or moderating for us today. A little bit about L&D, and this is especially for any new people, the visitors who've not been with us. We are a dynamic network of professionals, and we are committed to advance the personal and organizational development across Africa. So we are passionate about Africa and also beyond Africa. This network brings together practitioners and enthusiasts in the learning and development industry to engage, share ideas, and create innovative homegrown solutions that address Africa's unique challenges while aligning with global best practices. So we think global, but we act Africa or African, and we are delighted to have you on the call today. So we have an amazing speaker. I happen to know her, and she works for an amazing organization here in Kenya called Centonomy. They are amazing, especially around the story of finances, and they are a big brand. But before we get to hear from our amazing speaker, we want to get to know each other a little bit. And I want to invite Stanley to create some breakout rooms. So Stanley, please, in the back, do create some breakout rooms for me. And here is what I wanted to do in those breakout rooms. I want you to find out a few things. We have 7 minutes. So I want you to find out a couple of things about the people in your breakout rooms. Find out who they are and where they are from. Find out what they do. So who they are. Let me type it. Let me type it here in the chat. I want us to find out who they are, their names. Find out what they do. Find out what they expect to learn today. And one unique thing about them. Great. So that is what you're going to find out in the breakout rooms. Who they are, that's their names and where they come from, their country. They can tell you a couple of things about them, maybe their family, whatever they want to tell you, what they do, their profession or their career, what they expect to learn today, and one unique thing about them. So I'll show you how that goes. So my name is Anthony Chira. I am a father, I am a son, I am a brother, I am a husband. What do I do for a living? I run a business called The Influential. I had said that I am a coach. I am a certified coach, I'm a certified trainer, and I'm a speaker. That's what I do. My business. What do I expect to learn today? I expect to learn a little more, especially around sustainable leadership as a continuing theme that we have been having. So I expect to hear from Kathleen. And one unique thing about me is that a few years ago, when I was younger, I produced a music album. If you want to know more about that, talk to me after the training. So Stanley, if we are ready, you can send us to breakout rooms, and then we can find out those things that I have written there.
Yes.
So what do you say? So please join the room that you've been assigned, and let's get busy. Great, great, great. So I hope you had a good one. I hope you had a good one, sharing some thoughts in the breakout. I hope you met someone new. Let's see in chat just some of the things that you learned. Let's see. You met someone you know. You've learned something new about somebody. Please tell us something that you learned in chat. The rooms that you are in. Let's see in chat. I'm expecting to see some communication in chat. I'm not seeing that. Ah, Grace Wanjala, thank you, like-minded persons. Thank you very much, Grace. Appreciate that very much. Anything else? Grace was in my group, so my group is very well represented. Someone is off mute, go ahead. Somebody wants to speak, you can go off mute. That is in order as well. Did you learn something about somebody in the group? Did you meet somebody exciting? Did you learn something about them? Let's see that in chat. Daisy, this is a great networking opportunity. I would agree, Daisy, I would agree. I want at least 2 more. Come on, people. We met some exciting people. I met my good friend Joe. I enjoy listening to Joe speak. Joe is a fantastic speaker. He told us that iron sharpens iron in our group. Iron sharpens iron, so he's delighted to be here to be sharpened, and so am I. I have adopted the keynote speaker as my little sister. Whoa, Kathleen, you're going to Uganda. Good one, Daisy. And Doris is saying that I met my Ghanaian siblings. All right, all right, all right. I had wanted at least 2 more. So Daisy's doesn't count because she had already written. So 1 more, please. Let us hear from you. If you want to go off mute and tell us something, that is also a good thing. 1 more before I tell you about our amazing speaker. Then we get to glean. 1 more, 1 more. Encourage someone in your group to share what they learned. Encourage somebody in your group. You are really, oh, there's something here that has been written to me directly. I was about to read it aloud. Come on, people. I'm waiting for 1 more. Something you learned, something that excited you. We were shy in my group. Samira, thank you so much. Whoa. At least 1 for the moderator. Thank you, Samira. Samira and your shy group, you're in the right place. We want to remove a bit of the shy and get you to dig in. We want to get you to connect. We want to get you to get to meet somebody. I hope that will happen. Antoinette says she met others who are also eager to learn. Thank you, Antoinette. Ah, they're coming in fast and furious now. Nyambura met a gentleman from Ghana, NSA, and she says it is very interesting to know people. I truly appreciate all of you who have put your comments, and I thank you for making the moderator not struggle too much. Yeah, the moderator can struggle when they're trying to say, please do this, please do that. But that aside, let's get to the meat of the day. We have an amazing, amazing, amazing speaker today. Kathleen Muriithi is our speaker. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before we welcome her. So I want to whet your appetite. So if your appetite is not whetted yet, just listen to this. And then you'll be feeling the way I'm feeling. Kathleen is a distinguished research analyst and strategy consultant with over 9 years of experience in program design, implementation, and results-based management. She specializes in developing and implementing evidence-based strategies for governments, donors, and non-state actors, focusing on sustainable and innovative solutions. Recognized as one of Africa's leading young thinkers, did you hear that part? Africa's leading young thinkers, Kathleen leverages her expertise in leadership, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship to address global challenges and accelerate economic growth. How are you feeling so far? There's a bit more. Passionate about integrating technology and creativity, Kathleen designs transformative learning experiences that equip individuals and organizations with the skills needed in today's fast-changing world. Her career goal is to create scalable impact through tailored programs that promote growth and adaptability. She sounds like L&D, what we were saying. She thinks global, but she also acts Africa. Kathleen's commitment to sustainability and social impact is evident in her work, making her a prominent advocate for innovative solutions for economic growth. Her strategic insights and dedication to empowering leaders and organizations position her as a transformative figure in this front. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me stop sharing because I want to see you putting those hands together, digital or otherwise, for Kathleen Morinthi, as we welcome her to come and speak to us today. So I want to see some digital hands. I want to see some celebration. I want to see some faces. Oh, everybody is hiding behind the. Joe, I see that. Woo-hoo. Thank you. I'm not seeing hands. Your hands are still clapping. I can't see them. There, Rita Maxwell, I see that. I see that. Joe, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome, Kathleen. Take it away.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. I feel at home. I'm at home. I have already been adopted in Uganda. So from here, I think I will go to Uganda and explore that market altogether. But thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to come on here to meet incredible people, just like myself. You know, we say positive words about yourself. Speak life into yourself. And I'm really, really honored to share with you and have conversations on a topic that's very, very, very dear to me. So allow me to share my screen. I see that I have been made a co-host, which is wonderful. I just want you to confirm that you can be able to see it.
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect.
Kathleen, can you give me a second? I see Rita's hand is up. Rita, is your hand raised? Do you want to say something, or can Kathleen continue? Or does Rita know her hand is up?
Maybe she wanted to high five. Oh, okay.
We high five you back, Rita. Kathleen, you can continue.
All right, perfect. Please confirm that you can hear me well and that you can see my screen, because we are about to embark on an incredible journey on sustainable leadership development. Now, you've all heard about myself, and I was in the breakout rooms, and let me tell you, people are doing amazing. People are generating impact in their communities, and this is the environment where now, if you feel like you're giving up, after this, please go where you have written your goals. Please go and ensure that at least you are continuing with the journey, because we can see you and we can see your work. So I want to take the remaining minutes that I have. I am told I don't have many minutes. I have about 45 to an hour. So let us start on this journey on sustainable leadership development. You know, when we think about leadership, there's so many words, so many things that come into mind, you know. Everyone will say I'm a leader. Why? Because there's so many people who look up to me. I am in decision-making capacities, which is okay. You have that, and we respect that. But the baseline of it is, are you doing it in a very transformative way? Are you doing it in a way that you're empowering others people who can be able to be like you? Are you doing it in a way where we can be able to see the impact of your leadership? Are you doing it in a way where we admire, we respect, and we want to be in your space because there's that ripple effect of the positive consequences of your leadership practices? And we can talk about so many leadership practices because this subject is not new to us. At some point, because most of us are in L&D, this is something that we talk about, especially in organization, even individually in our communities, when we're looking, when you're talking with our peers, talking about leadership in the country, talking about leadership in several organizations that we recognize and would probably want to be a part of. So leadership is not something that is new. But I want us to talk about something that's very important: sustainable leadership development. Leadership in the sense that there's legacy of impact, there's integrity, and there's growth. Tony, I see you want to say something?
Thank you. Yeah. Are you able to turn up your microphone's volume? There is some chat around the volume.
Ah, all right. Are you able to hear me well now? You are muted.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm saying I am able to hear you. Daisy is able to hear you. Martin, can you hear her now? And Heinrich, is it better? Let us know, please, so that she can continue.
When you talk, it's okay, but when she's speaking, it's quite low.
Okay, yes. Maybe it's my voice. You know, I'm a small girl, so maybe it's my voice. I will shout to the top of the building so that even the people outside can be able to hear me. Are you able to hear me now, Martin? I am shouting. I am shouting for Jesus right now.
You're projecting. All right.
Good. Okay, perfect. So I will maintain the same volume so that at least we are able to work together in this journey. No one is left behind. So I was talking about sustainable leadership development, and I was mentioning that ideally we have all experienced leadership in different fronts, but for today I want us to concentrate on something that forms the baseline of all the leadership principles that we know. The principles of leadership more or less remain the same, and it even goes to finance. So the principles remain the same. We're talking about you being a visionary person. We're talking about you understanding your environment, becoming very much aware of your environment so that you're able to influence the people that look up to you towards the right direction. We're talking about you adapting to the changes that happen in the environment, because if you're a leader and you cannot see how things are going, then you're not able to steer your people towards the right direction. So that's the basis of my conversation right here. I want us to look at the legacy of impact. I want us to look at integrity, and I want us to look at growth. So sustainable leadership, if we were to define it, me and you, is the practice of leading with a long-term vision that prioritizes ethical decision-making, people development, and lasting impact beyond an individual and an organization. So allow me to repeat that again. Sustainable leadership is the practice. So it's something that you have to keep on doing. You can't just wake up tomorrow and say, oh my God, I am a sustainable leader. I embrace sustainable leadership principles. No, it's something that you keep on doing, that you create something called muscle memory, brain muscle memory. And I'll give an example of footballers. You know, it's very easy for you to kick a ball from one point to another, but every day footballers have to go to the pitch and practice it so much to a point where they can do that unknowingly. They're able to calculate the distance, do the whole mathematics, and know, if I kick this ball this way, then I'm able to get the desired result. So sustainable leadership is that practice of leading with a long-term vision and prioritizing ethical decision-making. So you have to be an ethical person. You know, you'll be tested as a leader. You'll be tested in all ways. So you have to practice and prioritize ethical decision-making, people development. You have to be a people person. You have to begin with the end in mind. And I love the session that we had yesterday because we were looking at one of the books, Leaders Eat Last. So this is a book by Simon Sinek. If you haven't read it, it gives you an idea of good leaders. How are they? They prioritize people. They build their people. You know, when you're working with people and you're a leader, you have to begin with the end in mind. So you begin with the end in mind, and then you people will be able now to naturally conform to your vision and help you in building that roadmap that gets you to that end in mind that you are thinking about. And then lasting impact. So sustainable leadership has a goal, and the goal is impact, and the impact should be lasting. All right. So let me repeat that, because that's something that you really have to have at the back of your mind, at the back of your head, every time you're incorporating leadership in all your areas. So sustainable leadership is the practice of leading with a long-term vision that prioritizes ethical decision-making, people development, and lasting impact beyond an individual or an organization. All right. Why sustainable leadership? because it builds, when I talk about impact, it builds lasting institution. You know, we want, when there's the word legacy that I'm throwing around here, you want people to experience the impact of your leadership even after you're gone. So we are looking at it with a sense of you planting a tree right now. So you might not be able to enjoy the benefits of that tree, but the people that will come after will be able to sit under that tree and thank the person who was able to plant that tree. So I want you to think about it from that point. So it builds lasting institution, it empowers people and promotes ethical decision making. So sustainable leadership, ladies and gentlemen, there's the word visionary, there's the word ethics, and there's the word impact. And then now there's adaptability. Now, I want us to look at two classic examples of leaders that we know, leaders that we love, leaders that we embrace, who are able to incorporate sustainable leadership in their areas of work. And we can be able now to see the impacts that they have been able to generate in the community. And some of us are beneficiaries of these practices or the results of their impact. So allow me to play a video of one incredible person here. But before I do that, because I want us to engage as much as possible in the chat box, please let me know who is that leader that you look up to when we talk about leadership. Who's that person that comes to your mind? Tony, you'll help me in reading the names in the chat. When we talk about leadership, who's that leader, you know, that comes to your mind? Who's that person that you always look up to in terms of leadership? Who is that person that really ignites the sense of leadership in you? So let me hear from the chat. Who is that person that comes to mind? And it's okay, you can even say Tony. Tony can be one of them, you know? You can even put his name there.
From the chat, it looks like I'm already there. How cool is that, by the way, Kathleen? I'm one of those leaders. How cool is that?
Very cool, very cool, very cool.
Can I read for you the others?
Yes, 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 please, yes, please.
All right. Hey, so Joe Mukoko has mentioned me. I'm so humbled and I appreciate that. Heinrich has said Thomas Sankara. Edwin has said Osagiepo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has been mentioned again. Then we have Miriam Matembe, a former Ugandan MP and former Minister of Ethics and Integrity, that is in Uganda. Grace has talked about Dr. Patricia Murugami, I know her, and Caroline is saying Simon Sinek. Oh, we have one, Richard Branson. Yes, so far.
Awesome.
Professor Gary Madai, Mad Monroe.
Oh, wow, awesome, awesome. So let me play a video of one leader that we know, we very well know, who was able to incorporate sustainable leadership, and we are benefiting from the results of this. And he happens to be a go-to person. In fact, if you had mentioned, if you had asked me that question, after Tony would have been his name. But let us watch this video.
He was the first Black president of South Africa. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be taking a look at the life and accomplishments of Nelson Mandela. Born July 18th, 1918 in a South African village, Nelson Mandela was first in his family to attend school. A talented student who showed rebellious tendencies early on, he was expelled from university for his involvement in a boycott against the institution. It was expected Mandela would become chief of his tribe like his father, but instead he chose to study law.
It is absolutely important that you have the knowledge to serve your country and your people.
By 1944, Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC. This left-wing political party wished to give equal rights and freedoms to the entire country. Within the party, Mandela was part of a group that formed the ANC Youth League, and this offshoot used grassroots methods to get their point across, including boycotts, strikes, and general civil disobedience.
That the task of the ANC was to unite the African people and out of them build a nation.
In 1948, the National Party was elected to government, and following that, it instituted a legal system of racial segregation called apartheid. Meanwhile, Mandela and the ANCYL continued their nonviolent protests against racist policies. For example, Mandela was instrumental in 1952's Defiance Campaign, as well as 1955's Congress of the People. He also served as a lawyer for mistreated Black South Africans by opening the country's first Black law practice. Mandela was quickly becoming an enemy of the government, and he was targeted whenever possible. At the end of 1956, Mandela and a group of about 150 protesters were arrested on the suspicion of treason because of their advocacy. After a long trial, the group was acquitted. It was around this time that a group of militant Africans began suggesting that the peaceful approach was not working. This group formed the Pan-Africanist Congress in 1959. Soon after, Mandela changed his position and proposed that armed conflict was the only way to end apartheid rule.
It is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against the government whose reply is only savage attacks.
He helped found a military.
All right. So because of time, allow me to stop there and ask each and every one of us. We all know who Mandela is. We have experienced him in one way or another from books, in school, outside here in the world, from our interactions on social media, from print media, from mainstream media. How do you think, let me just ask this, how do you think Nelson Mandela was a sustainable leader? How do you think Nelson Mandela practiced sustainable leadership? What is that thing that he did that you feel was a principle of sustainable leadership and the impact that it had on us? So let me see that in the chat. I want this to be as engaging as possible. Remember, we said sustainable leadership is a practice. So we have to keep on practicing. So the more we learn, the more we practice. So sustainable leadership and immediate applicability, they go together. So we've all listened to the video. Let me see in the chat. How do you think Nelson Mandela practiced sustainable leadership? Tony, if you could help me. I think the next question should be, how do you think Tony practices sustainable leadership?
So let's begin with Daisy, your elder sister. She said had a clear vision and everything he did was to achieve that vision. Freedom for Africans in SA. We have Cynthia saying he felt the impact of the apartheid system on the people and fought to put an end to it. He was selfless. They're coming in fast and furious. I'll go as fast as I can. He was selfless by Phyllis. He became selfless and focused on people's turn. He had a long-term vision, Eunice. He practiced what he preached, Edwin. Resilience from Grace. Phyllis comes back again. He fought for all unconditionally. And Sandra says he was a visionarian, a man with a vision for his people in Africa, which was evident in all. He cared for his people and got involved in the protest. He wasn't an armchair leader. Wow. All right.
Interesting, interesting. So you see now, Nelson Mandela was not just a leader. He was not just someone who had influence. He knew he had the influence and he fought for the good of his people. So that's the thing about sustainable leadership. Over and above you being a visionary, you have to practice it and influence people so that they can be able to believe in the future of your dreams. Nelson Mandela will not have been able to provoke the impact that we are experiencing right now if he had done it alone. But he had to ensure that he incorporated the practices of sustainable leadership development so that people can be able to believe in the future of his dreams. And together they worked towards what we are experiencing now, the good effects of him. So let's look at that. And I love the responses that I've gotten. So let's look at some of them. So when we understand sustainable leadership, in the context of Nelson Mandela. So he led with resilience. He was not fearful. He knew he's going to experience obstacles. He knew he's going to experience opposition in his journey. As a leader, you really have to be cognizant that not everybody will be able to conform to the molds that you ascribe. You will get thinkers like myself who will challenge your thinking, ideally because we all have to look at things from all angles so that all ends of the spectrum balance. So he led with forgiveness, so more often than not, people that challenge the way you think, the way you want to enforce your policies, the way you want to ensure that things are done in your organization or in your individual capacity, the people that will challenge that most of them usually come from a good point. So you have to be ready to forgive. And that's the thing with leadership. I don't know, the thing with leaders, we like to hold a grudge, oh, I was in a board meeting and then you challenged my thinking. All of a sudden, I don't like you, So the next time we're having this meeting and then I do not listen with the, I do not hear you with the intent to listen. I hear you with the intent to just respond. Remember yesterday when we were doing our session, one of the books that really changed my mind was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits is you listen, you hear someone, you listen to a conversation with the intent to understand, not with the intent to respond. So as leaders, if you get someone who is challenging you, that it more or less just changes your mindset. So now when you're in the boardroom or when you're having conversation and someone is challenging your ideologies, now you're listening to them with the intent to respond. And maybe they're coming from a good place. So you're working towards probably implementing a strategy within the organization. So you've noticed there's a problem here. Someone has come up with a solution and you're working towards now implementing this solution. And then now this person that you don't like because they challenged you at some point, so now you're listening to them, not to understand where they're coming from. And you need all people in the organization. You need people who are looking at things from different dynamics, people coming into the boardroom with different perspectives. So now because you have been challenged, now you're listening with not to understand, but to respond. So Nelson Mandela was able to forgive a couple of people who did him bad because he had that long-term vision for unity. Africanism, we are talking about global practices of L&D, but we are Africans at the end of the day. So Africanism. He focused on institutional change rather than personal power. He had the power. And we usually say, if you want to know who a man is truly, give him power or give him money. Nelson Mandela had both, but he was able to focus on the institutional change of his country because he believed, he was a visionary. He believed that if we were able to do A, B, C, and D, then we can be able now to experience the good of this country. So what do we learn here from Nelson Mandela? Sustainable leadership requires patience. And let me tell you guys, patience is an easy word to throw around, but when you're put in a position to practice patience, you will not like the word. You will not even like to hear the word patience. But this is something that you really need to understand. As a leader who wants to incorporate sustainable leadership, patience is a virtue that you need to have. Over and above the whole skill set that we have mentioned, you need to understand patience. You need to understand inclusivity. Inclusivity, not in the sense of, so I like you, so I will like everything that you say. No, inclusivity of I am incorporating all choices, all perspectives, all reasoning presented to the table. And then before you're making a decision, you're looking at all these things that have been presented to the table so that you're making an informed decision as a leader. And then there's the bit of sacrifice. Let me tell you, something has to give. We are experiencing the good thing from Nelson Mandela, but if you listen to how his kids, his wife, at some point, I think the wife divorced him, something has to give. There's a sacrifice that comes with leadership. And sustainable leadership is not something that has been eliminated. So you have to also ensure that, yes, you will be demanded to sacrifice something, but you can experience a balanced approach. You can balance all ends of the spectrum. So once you know this, then you are able now to work backwards. You're able to recalculate and understand, all right, so as a leader, because I want to experience this in my organization, I might spend so many hours in the office. I might miss out on my kids' early child life, my spouse, my partner, all these things that we usually hear. But I want you to understand that leadership comes with sacrifice. And once you're able to understand that, then now you're able to recalculate now and organize yourself accordingly. So now I want us to look at another person. So let's look at someone in the business setup.
Tony Evans did regard this man who turned UBA around one of the most influential banks in Nigeria and indeed the rest of Africa. He's also one of the most influential business leaders leading the renaissance of African philanthropy through the recent creation of the
from them, not just for Nigeria, but across Africa. And in fact,
Kathleen, is it possible to add the volume? It's pretty low.
All right.
A couple of things have to be done.
I don't think it's on my end because my volume is full. You can't hear anything, yeah?
Yeah, and
All right.
there's some comments around that. Yeah.
No worries, no worries, no worries. So I think we can just move forward. So the video is about Tony Elumelu. Tony Elumelu is an entrepreneur who has been able to empower so many African entrepreneurs. In fact, by a show of hands, please raise your hand. If you don't know about Tony Elumelu, I don't know. But if you know who Tony Elumelu is, please just raise your hand. Let me see the hands. If you know who Tony Elumelu is, if you have experienced him in one way or another, raise your hand. So I see a couple of hands being raised. So let me tell you a personal story of myself, someone who has benefited from the vision of Tony Elumelu. I am currently 30 years old. So I turned 30 end of last year. And I have been in the entrepreneurship space for so long. I started this journey back in my third year of studies in campus. So I was doing statistics, but I noticed there was a problem in the organization. So many students had side hustles, had businesses, small businesses, and were struggling to scale. And naturally, as a thinker, I would come up with solutions that would help them to scale. So I decided, let me start monetizing this because I see there's an opportunity here and I can be able to make some few coins. And that's how I started my business. Someone who has never been in a business class, I was, if you ask me about statistics, probability, all those mathematical connotations, I would have enjoyed explaining them. But here I was presented with a business problem that I had to solve. So what I did is I sought out some like-minded people, and together we were able to build a consortium of people who would offer consultancy services now to the students. Yes, we were kids. the students back in school. And it grew phenomenally, and I was able now to even pitch to a number of people who would won some awards, etc. So now fast forward to 2021, I had done a couple of professional development programs, like yearly. We have something else in Kenya called the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. So these are programs that empower African entrepreneurs so that you're able now to scale your business in one way or another. And then came Tony Elumelu. So Tony Elumelu not only offers you structured curriculum that will help you to understand your business better, you go through a whole curriculum that challenges the way you're doing business and puts you in a situation where you recalculate so many things. And you know, when you're running your business, there's a lot that you wouldn't be able to understand. So something like, where's my revenue coming from? How do I increase my revenue streams? Who are my customers really? Where do I find them? What channels do I use to find them? You know, who are these key stakeholders that I need to take advantage of so that they can be my partners at one point or another? So building up the whole business model canvas is something that is progressive. And I really had a challenge with that because I was in the service industry. So service-based industry, it can be a challenge because it's not like selling a pair of shoes, you know, so you have to understand the customer, you have to incorporate design thinking for you to put yourself in the shoes of the customer to understand, all right? So this is the challenge that you're experiencing. So these are the potential solutions to this problem. And unknowingly, I would find myself in spaces where people would consult me to come in as a consultant and advise startups that are coming in Kenya. So through that space, I found myself doing the Tony Elumelu program. And it changed me. It changed me because how I was doing my business is not how you should be doing your business in wherever you are. And when I was incorporating the principles and the lessons that I had learned, of course, using the lesson learned approach, I realized that this guy, had he not founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, had he not started that, had he not cited, sorry, Moriba, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So had he not founded, had he not cited the distant horizon and build a platform that would help people like him, you know, because for him, he also started somewhere and he was able now to scale, he was able to grow. So had he not done that, then Kathleen would not have been where she is right now. So over and above the curriculum, plus the funding, now my business was able to scale. And now I'm a hybrid entrepreneur. So I work for Centonomy, but I also help startups on the side to help them scale as well. So the video is talking about how Tony Elumelu explains the challenges that entrepreneurs face. And I want us now, the same way we've done with Nelson Mandela, I want us to look at in what ways did Tony Elumelu practice sustainable leadership? Again, in the chat, in what ways did Tony Elumelu practice sustainable leadership? So we've looked at a leader in the political scene, and now I want us to look at a leader in the business scene so that you can see how well-rounded sustainable leadership is. So in what ways did Tony Elumelu practice sustainable leadership? Again, in the chat. Are people engaging? Are you scared? You're not scared of sustainable leadership. It's a lot of work. You're carrying people's problem at the, yeah? You're carrying people's problems. Now you're scared. In what ways did or is Tony Elumelu practicing sustainable leadership?
They're coming in.
Awesome.
So the first one is from me. The first one, I said that he multiplied his success by sharing his success habits. Oh, actually, the first one is from Joe. Joe says he developed an army of leaders around him through his academy to ensure Africa can grow competent and forward-thinking leaders. Well said, Joe. Daisy, your elder sister Kathleen, says he saw an issue in the business space, especially around young entrepreneurs across Africa, and came up with courses and skills development that they could use and develop their businesses. We have Caroline saying empowering other growing young entrepreneurs, and Stan, he gave the means to continue a sustainable business.
All right. So all of you are right. And I like the fact that we're working together. I like the fact that you can be able to see how sustainable leadership practices cut across board in whatever industry you're in. As long as you're a leader, as long as you have people looking up to you, as long as you're influencing people in one way or another, the principles of sustainable leadership remain the same. So the vision is the first thing. That is the first thing that God gives you. There's the vision. And then God gives you, and then you get an army of people, like the way Joe puts it or paints it. So you get people who believe in the future of your dreams, people who believe that I like your ideologies, I like the way you think, I like the policies that you are coming up with. I can see the impact of your leadership in the organization. I can feel it even as a friend. I can feel it even as a close confidant. So the principles remain the same. Whether you're in the political setup, we've seen about Nelson Mandela, and now we're looking in the business setup. The principles remain the same. So sustainable leadership is something that goes down to the core. So Tony Elumelu, he advocated for entrepreneurship and economic transformation in Africa. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, fostering sustainable businesses. He promoted a lot of businesses, and not just promoting sustainable businesses from the curriculum, because he was able to understand where the problem is. And together with his team of people, he was able to come up with a solution that supported people like myself who wanted to understand the whole essence of business, because there's that passion that burns deep. So you need to invest in others. Sustainable leadership is about building people, not just yourself. Yes, you do have the capacity, the power. We are putting you on a pedestal. There's that platform where you stand, but you are of service to the people who look up to you. You're of service to those people. So you need to invest in people, and you need to increase your capacity to do what? To create opportunities for long-term growth. Again, the impact, the legacy. So it's not just for now, it's for now and the future. So the principles of sustainable leadership cut across board. So what is the ripple effect of Tony Elumelu? He's empowering young entrepreneurs, people like myself. He's committed to inclusive growth. He's not just empowering people in Nigeria. People in Kenya are able to experience the power, the impact of the sustainable leadership practices that he's incorporating in the society. There's a bit of ethical business practices. You learn how to do business the right way. He has invested in key sectors so that people like us can be able to see, oh, it's doable, you know? And he's promoting Africa. This word is very big for me. Africapitalism, you know? For Nelson Mandela, we saw Africanism. So now it's Africapitalism. So home. Build your home, build your people. Let us experience the impacts of this leadership right from where you are. So then how? Because you're saying we are leaders and we want to start practicing sustainable leadership. So then how do we begin? So there are 4 pillars of sustainable leadership. The first one is vision and purpose. You have to be a very purposeful person, and you need to have vision. So you must think beyond immediate gains, and you need to have a long-term vision. The word vision is actually being used here so many times because it's very key. And then there's a bit of empowerment and mentorship. There has to be that ripple effect. Let us feel it. Let us experience it. So build us, build your people, and invest in future generation. And then there's ethics and integrity. You really have to be, let me use the word good. Be a good person, be responsible, make good decision, make right decision that ensures longevity and trust. When it comes to sustainable leadership, trust is a currency, and you need to learn how to invoke it in your organization and also in your individual spectrum. There's also the bit of adaptability and resilience. You need to be able to learn how to navigate change. COVID was here just a few years ago. As leaders, we will be tested, both internally and externally. There will be some internal factors and there's some external factors. Factors that you have zero control in and factors that you have control in. So you need to be very adaptable and you need to be very resilient so that at least you're able to navigate change and remain steady, because there's so many people who are looking up to you. And then there's the legacy and impact. We're not just talking about now, we're talking about the future. So your leadership has to transcend personal success and benefits. And it has to empower the society. So it has to go beyond you yourself. We looked at Nelson Mandela. He worked for the good of people. Tony Elumelu, he works for the good of people. The good of the people that love entrepreneurship, the good of the people that are creating opportunities in the society, the good of the people that want to learn how to do business. So your sustainable leadership, the legacy and the impact thing is something that's very key. So when you're thinking about sustainable leadership, these are the 5 pillars. So then how do we start becoming sustainable leaders? Because it's possible. We have seen 2 very key examples. So you need to have a long-term vision. If you're in an organization and you're in a decision-making capacity, there's that vision that you have, there's that goal that you want to achieve, there's that picture that you have every time you close your eyes and you imagine You know, when I say leaders begin with the end in mind, so you see the picture, you see the beautiful impact. You can feel it, you can feel it because the vision is yours. And the vision needs to be long-term. So define what lasting impact you want to make. If you're talking about retaining top talent, so what is this top talent? Have a picture of what this top talent is. If it's in entrepreneurship, you want to generate massive revenue. So what is this massive revenue? Then boil it down to the specifics. You know, I want this product to bring in X amount of money. I want these products to bring in Y amount of money. So once you're able to do that, it makes it even simple for you to communicate that to the people who are working with you. And then now invest in people. So train, mentor, and empower your team. So learning and development is something that is deeply infused in sustainable leadership. You have to train people, you have to mentor people so that they can think like you, they can see your vision, so that naturally now they'll be able to work together with you because they have also sighted that distant horizon and they're working together now with you naturally. So they embrace it, you know, and they make it their own because they can see, all right, so there's shared vision here, so let's achieve it together. And then lead by example, you know. So you can't say you want integrity and you're not a person of integrity. You can't say you love time management and you don't keep time yourself. You can't say you want people to listen to you and you're not listening to people. So lead by example. Demonstrate integrity and ethical leadership in all decisions. Then build resilience because you will be tested. So you need to stay committed to your mission, even in challenging times, and then think beyond yourself. It's not about you at the end of the day, it's about the people you impact. So create systems that outlast your leadership tenure. Think about the tree analogy that I was saying. So these are some questions that I want you to ask yourself, introspective questions that will get you thinking to understand what is the status quo. Have I already started incorporating sustainable leadership? And if not, how can I start? So ask yourself, do I lead with a long-term vision in mind? How do I empower others in my leadership role or in the role that I play? How do I empower others? Do people like working with me? That's a question you need to ask. Am I making ethical and sustainable decisions, you know? Or maybe you're making rational decisions based on how you feel at the moment. You're someone who likes to bend the rules as long as you achieve the goals that you have, but you don't care about the ripple effects of you bending the rules. Is my leadership adaptable to changing environments? You know, if something happens, if an uncertainty happens in the organization or in my life as an individual, is the leadership style that I practice adaptable to changing environments? And then now think further. So what impact will my leadership have in the next 10 to 20 years? I want you to always begin with the end in mind. Before you approach any situation, even if you're planning a training program within your organization, what is that objective that you want to achieve? What is that expected outcome that you want to achieve? Because that will guide how the inception meeting will be structured. You'll be able to understand, who do I need in this meeting? Who do I need in this call? So you'll have the right people right from the start. So always begin with the end in mind. So I will drop those two habits, and I urge you to go read that book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Number 1, always begin with the end in mind as a leader. Number 2, listen, not to respond, but to understand. So anytime you're interacting with your people, listen, not just to respond, but to understand. Some people might not be able to have the right words to explain a situation, but when you listen keenly, then you'll be able to know, you'll be able to understand what is it that they are saying. So listen, not just to respond, but to understand. So what are we saying here? Sustainable leadership is about creating lasting impact. Each of us has the power to be a leader who drives meaningful change. It is within you. And learning from great leaders, it helps shape our leadership journey. So we need to be learners. We can't be teaching people and you're not expanding your knowledge. So learn from the people who went before us, who we can be able to experience, the impact of them practicing sustainable leadership, and then be one of them. Let us say in the next 20 years, let us talk about the same way we're talking about Nelson Mandela, the same way we're talking about Tony Elumelu. In the next 20 years, let us talk about you, because you are able to impact your community in such a way that we can still feel the impact of your leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not have much time, but I want to believe that we have been able to grasp the concept of sustainable leadership. It cuts across board. The principles remain the same, but sustainable leadership is something that you have no choice. If you want to experience long-term impact, you have no choice but to practice it. So on the screen, you have my details, and I want to hand over the program back to Tony. I believe I managed my time. If not, I will do better next time. But I want to believe that we have been able to grasp the incredible topic of sustainable leadership development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. It looks like big gifts come wrapped up in small packages. A little person, but she packs a punch, ladies and gentlemen. So, Kathleen, I will ask you to kindly stop sharing so that I can see as many people as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we appreciate Kathleen with those digital claps, with thumbs up, with flames? And I'll tell you what, Murugi, I see that. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Joe, I'm afraid to pronounce names because of my East Africanness. Zors, I think, and I see Grace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Stanley, I see you as well. I want you to drop in the chat, good, Sandra, something that you picked from the presentation. Sandra is saying it was very educative and she wants to be a sustainable leader. Nyambura, Doris, thank you so much for the appreciation. Joe, I see you there. Very insightful. I want a takeaway. She told us a couple of things. If you took some notes, please tell us what is your take home? Let the facilitator feel that she nailed something. Seth says, walk the talk. If you believe in time management and integrity, you have to live it. Phyllis says, be impactful. All right. I want to take a few more. Stan, very informative. And takeaway is the main pillars of leadership. Nyambura says, begin with the end in mind. Zos says, a sustainable leader must make decisions which transcend themselves so that in 20 years, your name and impact will be spoken about. Grace comes back with forgiveness. Cynthia talks about creating lasting impact. Joe is back with empowering others. Paul is talking about being remembered 20 years from now. Long-term vision from Murugi. And patience from Doris. And listen to understand, not to respond. Antoinette Awuku. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, was it not good? So Kathleen, we were listening. I want to honor Nancy Dalla saying that have ethics and integrity. And Watang says, sustainable leader must invest in others. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Don't leave yet, ladies and gentlemen. We have a small segment, just some information that we want to share. I had some notes myself. I remember a quote about legacy. Legacy is what we leave inside of others, not what we leave for them. What we leave for them is an inheritance. So when we are being challenged by Kathleen to leave a legacy, it is what we leave in them. That's why we are going to be remembered 20 years from now. And Maya Angelou said that people may forget what you said, but they don't forget how you made them feel. So legacy is really what you leave inside them. And forgiveness, which was a challenge for me as well, is not reminding them what they did. I forgive you. Don't keep reminding them. When you forgive them, you forgive and you move. And I love the multiplication. I saw Carol also write about that sustainable leadership is about multiplication. And I love the term Africapitalism. I love that so much. Africapitalism. Thank you so much for that. We agree that it was worth it. So at this moment, if there are any questions for Kathleen, let them flow, let it rip. Any questions? We would like to take them now. Feel free to go into chat or to go off mute if you want. You can raise your hand or just go off mute.
I would like to think people are introspecting now. Now you're asking yourself, am I a sustainable leader?
We have one hand up though.
Yes, I see Stan has raised his hand.
Go ahead. Stan, you're muted, so you can unmute and ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the well-informed and informative presentation, Kathleen. There's a lot that one picked up. Just that for me, the outstanding ones were the pillars. Sometimes these are the things that we are aware of, but they are always at the back of our mind, on the subconscious mind, and we need someone from time to time just to awaken that subconscious mind. And thank you once again. My question is this. Africa as a whole is lagging behind in terms of the small businesses. Not because there are not businesses there are businesses. And I would like to assume that my guess is correct when I say that Africa has got more businesses than any other country or continent of its own size.
Sure.
But these businesses are not successful. My observations are that entrepreneurs and innovators, they know exactly what they're supposed to do to get on with their business. However, the biggest stumbling block is the finance to start the businesses. In South Africa, it's a different game altogether, because even the government agencies that are appointed to fund the small businesses, they refuse to fund the small businesses. So, which stifles the entire economy, the progress of the economy. What is your take on that? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stan. So allow me to correct your assumption. We do not know how to run businesses. We operate from something called speculative assumption. So we see Tony has started his shoe business. We start ours 2 years later, and we copy what Tony has done. Let me tell you, markets are different and markets are dynamic. As someone who has advised thousands of startups, I will tell you this for a fact. We come to the table with one thing and one thing only as entrepreneurs. I want to make money. But here's the thing. Have you gone back to understand, how do I make this money? Just because Tony is selling his shoes, that doesn't mean that I can do the same thing and get the same result. So the customers are different and the markets are very dynamic. So here's what we do as people who advise startups. We incorporate something called design thinking. Yes, you have this incredible idea, this incredible business that you probably started. incorporate design thinking. And design thinking has 4 pillars. You need to first empathize. Be very honest with yourself. First of all, do you have what it takes to run a business? Because entrepreneurship is not a sweet journey. So I heard Tony mentioning that he runs a business. It's not a sweet, the freedom is good, but you have to work for it. So do you have what it takes? Skills that every entrepreneur needs to have. You need to empathize with yourself, number 1. Number 2, empathize with your customers. So put yourself in the shoes of your supposed customers. So once you have this draft, so here are my customers, my persona A lives in this place, buying capacity is X amount of money. So if I'm able to sell this product worth Y amount of money, then this person can be able to buy the product. That is speculative assumption. So design thinking now gives you that draft, and then now you're able to prototype even before you introduce that product in the market. So you create a prototype, and prototyping will begin with the people who are close to you, your friends, your family. Get them to give you honest review of this business that you want to run. They'll probably tell you it's expensive or it's cheap. You need to reconsider ABC. And let me tell you, something as small as business location can impact your business heavily. So that is a very wrong assumption. We do not know. You will know when you're on the ground. I see Tony is smiling. These things you will know when you're on the ground. You will think you know the customers, but you don't. And then the final pillar is implementation. That's why I'm saying you will know when you're on the ground. So you'll have this incredible implementation plan, but when you're effecting it, now you will understand you need to go back to the drawing board and come up with a whole new market entry strategy. The other question is the issue of finance. Now, as a venture capitalist, over and above people wanting capital to start or to grow their businesses, you will realize that finance is not a priority area for your business to grow. There's something called social capital. There's something called human capital. So you getting finance to be able to pay person X, Y, Z so that they can do A, B, C, and D. Let's take a good case in point, marketing, for example. So you get funding, and one of the reasons why you want to get funding is because you want to grow your market strategy. So within the market strategy, you have listed that you're going to hire social media managers. And you have a little brother in the house who can be able to do this for free. Or you have a friend who will be willing to volunteer. So sometimes you realize the issue isn't about finances. And the government, in as much as we want to look at it from a government front, yes, there are systems, there are policies that will support small businesses. But again, it boils down to compliance. So there are regulatory and institutional frameworks that you have to comply with in order for you to benefit from certain government ideologies. So if you come into the corporate side, so people like me will say, before I put money into that business, I want to understand how your business model canvas is. Do you really understand who your customers are? So if you give me a very, very vague customer persona, then now we'll start the work from that point. So that to answer your question, I want to correct that assumption, and I want to say that you can leverage on other sources of capital. So there's human capital, people who will be able to volunteer, and there's social capital, people with influence who you can be able now to tap into that network, and they can come on board with resources, knowledge to support the growth of your business. I am happy to help moving forward, so feel free to get in touch with me. I had seen another hand, Tony, or the hand was dropped.
It is Dr. Patrick, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Tony. I think that Kathleen has done a wonderful job, and kudos to you, Catherine. And when it comes to the issue of finance, I think she touched on it. In fact, in Africa, and especially in West Africa, where I'm located in Accra, and for that matter, the other part of Accra, Ghana, until now, we all thought that finance is the #1 issue. But we've recently experience has also shown that integrity and honesty is even ranking the #1, in the sense that, like Catherine said, you start a business and you need people to support you to succeed. So you think that everything that you needed was finance before you started, but you start a business and you realize that you need more than finance to be successful. So research has actually shown in West Africa and some part of Africa that by the time, if you have any business that goes beyond 5 years, then that business will succeed. Mostly in most business go down by the 3rd year. They don't cross 3 years and then they go down. So that's a research supporting the fact that what you need to be successful as a business person is not only finance, and in some cases finance may even be secondary, in that there are people who now have the money, the fundings are available, but then they do not even know how to get people to even access the funding and how to even manage the business. So business management is a very important thing. And I think now Africa, gradually we are getting there. We are talking of sustainability, we are talking of leadership. And so once you touch on sustainability, then it's more or less like you are touching on everything that is supposed to make the business successful now and in future as well. So yes, to some extent, finance is important. We should all keep the conversation going, but then we should, as Africans, we should also begin to look beyond the finance. So the people who are looking for the money, if they can come together and even demonstrate that they have what it takes to run the business and what it takes to do business, there are people who are also having the money and they're also wondering where to also get people who have what it takes to run business, and they are ready to also invest in some businesses in Africa as well. So it's good that we are carrying on the conversation. I would want to suggest that we broaden the conversation and extend it beyond the finance level. And I think Catherine has done a good job on that. So my fellow Africans and the rest, let's continue the conversation. But finance is big, but we have to begin to look beyond finance. Thank you.
The doctor.
Dr. Ali.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Good. I can see you still remember that dialect. Well done.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. Any other question, or can we move on? And thank you so much for those who are chiming in, like Dr. Thank you very, very much for chiming in and putting
thank you, Tony,
an exclamation mark, yes, to what has been shared. All right. In view, seeing as there's no other question, allow me then to move on and just share with you what to expect in our next webinar. It will be happening on the 27th of this month. That is next week, I think, or the week after next. And we have our amazing Caroline Nyamoya Mwazi, who is the chair of the committee, the L&D Africa Committee here in Kenya. So I do know her personally, and I want to invite you to please come. You don't want to miss this one as well. The details are there. If you can take a screenshot of that, the details are there for how to register. But of course, we will be sharing this in our socials. So please look out for this. The very same way you found out about this, you will find out about the next one. And please tell someone else so that they can come. People you think are going to benefit from this. We are also pleased to inform you that the L&D Africa is coming back to Nairobi for the annual L&D Africa conference this year between 15th and 17th of October. So please start planning, start spreading word, share, keep coming to the webinars. We want to bring as many people from across the continent to this amazing forum where we can learn together and grow together. Finally, these are our contact details. We have telephone numbers there, one for Accra, Ghana, the other one for Nairobi, Kenya. Our website is there. Our information, contact information is there in case you want to ask a question, in case you want to ask anything, use that contact information. We also invite you to connect with us on our socials. Please connect with us. There they are, those are our socials. And I can see the link has been shared for the WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you very much for sharing that. There's a WhatsApp group. So we have a WhatsApp group that you can join if you're not already in it, so that we can continue the discussions and share knowledge, etc., etc. We have come to the end, and from us to you is thank you very, very, very much. I want to invite you to please switch on your cameras for a minute, just for a minute. Switch on your cameras. We want to see as many of us as we can, and then we bid each other goodbye. As many as possible. We will give you a minute to do that. We want to see your faces. Don't worry, we will accept you as you are if you are not camera ready. We want to say a goodbye where we can see one another. I am not seeing the peeps. Where are they? Ah, Margaret Jackson, I see you. I see Phyllis. Margaret Jackson, is so lovely to see you. Susan, I see Sabina. I see.
Lovely to see you too.
Thank you. Thank you. I see Stan. There we go. Dr. Patrick, I see you too. And Martin, our sign language interpreter, Beatrice, Antoinette. Thank you, everybody. Let's wave at each other like this as we finish today. Let's make a date for the 25th. For the next one, is it 25th or 27th? Let's just meet. Look out for the invites and let us know. Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day. Evening.
Thank you.
I hope
very
you
much.
have the slides.
Silvashi was an outstanding
Thank you.
and
Yep.
Mr. British Bushan was a man.
You enjoy yours too.
Used to practice and do shows together. Both of them were living a good life.